Hi, so I was tagged by Joe Compton to do JB Taylor's Cast Your Book tag. So this is a fun one for authors because we all have ideas in our head of who we would like to play our characters if they were ever turned into movies. So if you're an author and you want to do this, definitely do the tag. I will put links to both Joe's and JB's original videos down in the description so you can check out those too. For me, I'm doing the Coda series, which is my main book series. Little backstory, my brother and I and our two best friends created the Coda when I was 9, I think is when I wrote the first version. And so the 4 main characters are based on the 4 of us. So over the years, we've had lots of different ideas about like what each character should look like and who should play who. I actually have a Pinterest board, which I will again put down in the description, of the different actors who have given me ideas for the different characters in the Coda series. That's both main characters and minor characters. I'm only going to talk about the main characters because otherwise that would be a lot. But if you want to check out that Pinterest board, that's kind of fun. I have different locations and like scenery that's also inspired different parts of the series, as well as like different books and different movies that have been influential to the creation. So that's worth checking out if you want to look at that too. For the main characters, I draw too, so these are kind of what they look like in my head most accurately. So the main character would be Truck, and he's the first character that you meet in book 1, and he kind of becomes the narrator mentor character who guides the 4 warriors. He started out as being very Russell Crowe. I don't even remember what movie in particular inspired that casting choice, but so he's kind of been Russell Crowe, but then kind of as I advanced the story, a little bit more turned into more like Mark Harmon, just facially, I think. Trog is very much supposed to be just kind of the everyman. He's not supposed to stand out physically, and I think that Mark Harmon was just a good average white guy face for me at one point, but then I think also just as an actor, he just kind of has the quietness that Trock has, kind of exuding some wisdom a little bit. So then for the 4 warrior characters, my character was always Bullseye, the leader, just because I was the oldest and bossy. A lot bossy. But my kind of first visual actress for that was actually, I have no idea what her name is. I could have looked this up on IMDb, but I didn't, so I'll put a picture up. Would be the girl from Space Above and Beyond. I think that was kind of the first character that I saw on TV where I was kind of like, she had a lot of traits of Bullseye. Kind of the wounded but still strong female character, which I think was pretty advanced for a 9-year-old. Like now you see that all the time. And then as things advanced, Rona Mitra, there's a particular picture that I have on Pinterest where it's just very Bullseye because there needs to be a lot of attitude there. And then more recently, I think Emily Blunt would be good. She is very just, there's the ability to be like pretty, but also very funny, which I think is a good thing for Bullseye, who's kind of a smartass in that way. I think The Edge of Tomorrow, Emily Blunt kind of showed more of the like action ability, which is definitely necessary for these books. So most modern, most recent choice would be Emily Blunt. She'd have to get like super buff, but still. So then the number 2 warrior would be Rave, aka Zach, who was my brother's character and then is Bullseye's brother's character. Rave, my brother always describes as like he needs to be like lean and sharp and just looks like he would go in slashing. We've had different ideas for Rave over the years too, obviously, but my personal picks would be either someone like Joel Kinnaman, who was in RoboCop. I think he just, again, has the very lean features that we were looking for. I haven't seen him do a lot acting-wise. He just kind of has the look that we need. Or then someone else that I found more recently while watching The Last Kingdom was Alexander Draymond. I'm not actually sure how to say his name. But again, has the kind of physical features that we were looking for. And then having watched him act a little more, I think he could pull off Rave. Again, kind of a smart-ass factor, but also with just the ability to get very, very serious very quickly. So then the next character would be Tigress or Alex. And that was played by my friend Callie when we were little. The big thing with her physically has just always been blonde. Her typical pretty blonde, blue-eyed girl. I think as the character evolved, she became more, I mean, she's very in her head all the time. She's a telepath, so she is literally in your head all the time too. She's kind of intense and takes things seriously. Not necessarily weak or not brave, but definitely not up for all of the battle of everyone else. So she's just much more your typical woman and girl. An early pick for Tigress was Naomi Watts, and I can't remember again what movie first inspired that, but she definitely has the physical traits that Tigress has, and also she's just a good actress. I mean, I don't need to tell you, I don't think my Naomi Watts is good. You've probably seen her in things. Another pick for Tigress would probably be Evan Rachel Wood, when she's blonde. She just, again, has kind of that quiet intensity, I think. She might have a little too much attitude for Tigress, but that's just another pick. And then I will say lastly, even though there are so many characters, and I will quickly name a couple, but White Wolf was the fourth warrior, played by my friend Luke. And it's kind of funny because as things turn out, as we all aged, Luke ended up looking the most like his character. I think like he got tall and buff and like kind of shaved-ish head and stuff, which is kind of funny because none of the rest of us really look like we could beat up anyone. But for White Wolf is like a huge muscly guy. His mutate genes give him like enhanced strength and everything. So I think an obvious choice for White Wolf now would be Chris Hemsworth. Again, if you've seen Thor, just imagine him with a shaved head. That's pretty much White Wolf. And I think Chris Hemsworth honestly just has a good balance of being goofy and serious, and White Wolf was definitely like the calm, quiet presence who kind of is the normal one of the bunch. Another pick for that though would be Thomas Hardy, and I don't know what movie it's from at all, but there's a picture that I found again on Pinterest where he has a shaved head, and I kind of went like, aha, because I love Tom Hardy and he could definitely do a lot with the character. So those are the main characters. Again, look at the Pinterest board. You see, like, for recurring characters, there's Matt Surrey, who kind of picked as Alexander Skarsgård, who Matt Surrey is always just tall, blonde. Like, that's his physical description. So he would work really well. And also has kind of a mopiness that Matt Surrey would need to have. For Galkin, I think the most recent pick would be Michael Fassbender. Because, one, he's pretty. And two, like, he's very good at acting without saying a lot. Because that's a big thing with Galkin is kind of a quieter presence, but very observant and sharp. And I think Michael Fassbender is just really good, so he would be good, and definitely looks kind of like what Galkin's look like in my head. Avant, I think, would be Idris Elba, because who doesn't want him in your movie? And I think, again, like, he's just a very good, like, yo, you're there kind of character. You see this person immediately know that they're capable. And then another character would be Vidal Lier, who is in my short, The Woman of the Void, but is also very important to the Coda series. I won't give spoilers, but she is more involved. And I think that would be Jessica Chastain would be a really good Vidal Lier. So, of course, there are tons more of characters that I could get into because we've had years, decades. I've had decades to think about this. So thank you, Joe, for tagging me, because I definitely had this one figured out without having to think too much, and this was a great tag, JB. And again, I will put their videos down below and my Pinterest board. So see you later.